Welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness TV, episode number 459, recorded June 28th, 2024. Join me, Professor Mac Jackson Jr., as we navigate through the digital landscape. Gear up for a thrilling ride through the cybersecurity tips and news to gain expert knowledge and become cyber champions. Subscribe and like now at the very bottom of the screen. If you'd like to find more about my company, you can go to my website at macjacksonjr.com. That's macjacksonjr.com. In today's segment, we are going to talk about the cybersecurity breaches that have happened right now with the attacks happened to car dealerships. And we thought it was just car dealerships from here locally here in Las Vegas, but it turns out it's from around the world. So these are the car dealerships around the world. We're going to talk about that. And then in my second segment, we're going to interview Dr. Hakimi, talking about the healthcare landscape as well as the cyber attacks that affected the healthcare industry. We'll be back with these and more messages from our show today here on Cybersecurity Awareness TV. Right back in a minute. Hi, folks. This is Mac Jackson Jr. from Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm here to tell you today about Dr. Hakimi from Vegas Direct Primary Care. As healthcare costs are on the rise, Dr. Hakimi takes the time to explain and recommends lifestyle changes to improve your health and your well-being. She is very attentive and knowledgeable, and she listens, folks, to what your needs are and help you get to the healthcare that you deserve. Dr. Hakimi would suggest things like food is the best medicine. That's what she says. I want to give praises out to her and thank her for her support here with me, as well as the Las Vegas community. Thank you, Dr. Hakimi. Hi, folks. Welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. We discuss on this show the rising incidents and crimes of ransomware attacks within the healthcare industry, the banking financial industry, and folks, now we're seeing another one that is affecting our local car dealerships here in Nevada, here in Las Vegas. So recently I received an email from one of my colleagues regarding a cyber attack that affected one of the local car dealerships here in Las Vegas, where it was a ransomware attack. And none of the car dealerships affiliated with this conglomerate were able to process any of the repairs in the cars or sell cars, financing. They were all stopped by this ransomware attack. But as time has gone on, it turns out that this recent attack came through from a company called CDK Global. CDK Global is a software company that is used by auto dealerships around the country, folks, around the country. It is used to maintain and manage their customers like a CRM system, but it's for the automobile dealership industry. The attack that happened last week affected over, ready for this, 15,000 car dealerships across North America and has specifically impacted the company's operation. The incidents, which has indicated of a ransom event, began again about a week ago and has persisted in the operations for a numerous number of car dealerships where they are using the CDK Global software for their daily business activities. The nature of these attacks is suggested by the cyber attackers, that it is from an overseas international hacking group, and they're seeking financial gain for this type of attack. A report we have from CBS News, Money Watch, the reporter discusses and uncovers how the cyber attack happened and how it's impacted the automobile industry and how it's disrupted that is, the operations that caused the cyber attack and created a lot of technical issues. This is understanding, again, how the impact of the cyber attacks can affect all industries, folks, from every sector. For our first story on this, we bring to you from CBS News.
A cyber attack on a company that provides software for thousands of car dealers in North America says it's a, quote, ransom event. The hack on CDK Global happened last week. It's still disrupting about 15,000 car sellers that depend on the company's software to run their businesses. Many have resorted to doing things manually with pen and paper until systems are restored. According to a Bloomberg report, the group that says it's behind the attack is demanding tens of millions of dollars in ransom. CBS News Money Watch reporter Megan Cerullo joins us with more. Megan, talk about when this cyber attack happened and what happened.
The attack took place Tuesday evening, CDK said. What it did was it took down its operations proactively to prevent the attack from spreading. It started bringing its systems back up again Wednesday because it powers more than half of the industry.
Yeah.
15,000 dealers, car dealerships across the U.S. rely on their systems. Once it brought them back online, it suffered a second cyber attack. And we're talking about last Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's 6 days already that car dealerships have not been able to conduct business as usual.
Why are hackers targeting car dealerships?
This kind of attack is becoming increasingly common. It's not an accident that they targeted this kind of company because they were well aware of how it would impact the customer. And because so many customers are affected, because car dealers can't sell cars and customers can't buy cars, that puts a lot of pressure on CDK to pay the ransom quickly.
And are they going to pay?
That we don't know.
I guess they may not even say.
That we don't know. They haven't indicated. Bloomberg did cite a source familiar with the matter saying that CDK is planning on making a payment to the group that is reportedly based out of Eastern Europe.
And in the meantime, they're just, as we mentioned, doing in some cases things the old-fashioned way with pen and paper. It's not affecting the cars themselves, it's just how their dealer process works.
That's right. These systems are relied upon to manage payroll, inventory, customer relationships. They really are the lifeblood of these businesses. They're the engines that power them. And so the lucky few dealerships that use competitor software are probably doing pretty well right now. But those that depend on CDK are resorting to writing orders down on sticky notes and using pen and paper to transact. But for example, these systems monitor and track inventory of parts and repairs, and a lot of those orders have ground to a halt.
Because it's not like the dealers, even if they're using the CDK software, discouraging people from coming in to buy a car right now. I would assume
they're
not.
trying to keep their customers as happy as they can under the circumstances.
Okay, Megan Cerullo, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Folks, the CBS News also talked about the cyber attack and how the auto dealerships were affected by it. Again, it is reported that these hackers are from overseas, and CDK, it's also rumored that they did pay the ransomware because they need to get their records back together versus relying on their backups because their systems are completely shut down. So this is another indication of why the FBI and a lot of the law enforcement organizations say to companies and businesses that they shouldn't pay the ransom because of this type of attack. It just will lead to additional attacks. And of course, it really would depend on the CDK's insurance company and their insurance provider in discussing if they should pay the ransom or not. So we will definitely keep up on the story to find out what's going on with it and see if it affects you and others and other car dealerships around our country. But our second story we'd like to share with you as well comes to us from CNBC News. Check this one out.
That CDK has hired the cybersecurity firm Unit 42 at Palo Alto Networks to handle the response to this incident. So we're learning more as we go along here. Let's also bring in two industry players now who are in Sea Island, Georgia today for a large auto dealership conference there. Brad Holton of Proton Dealership IT joins us, and John Heiser owns 4 dealerships in North Carolina. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us from Sea Island. John, let me start with you. You're at this conference in Sea Island. Can you give us a sense of what the mood there is? What are people saying about this hack and its impact on their business?
Well, you know, first, thanks for having me. I would say that the concern up to this point has been limited because, you know, a few days here, a few days there, not a big deal. But when you start talking about month close, especially for public traded companies, it's a big deal. So you're starting to see some people get more concerned as the time rolls by.
Brad, what do you make of this notice that we just saw from CDK? They put out this statement to their customers saying, you know, June 30th is now in question. If you need to make alternate plans, go ahead and do that. What does that tell you as a cybersecurity advisor to auto dealers about how serious this is?
Well, I mean, anytime you have a ransomware event, you're going to have to figure out the ways of recovering from that. And that's a long process. You can't just say, okay, we're done. We turned it back on. Everybody get access to it. You've got to do a forensic analysis to figure out how someone got in, make sure you've got everything cleaned up, In this case, you've got to do a lot of data integrity checking to make sure that the data that the dealers put in there before the incident is the same data that's there now. You've got to get third parties to audit all that. So it's a long process. Even if you've got everything stood back up in a lab environment and you kind of got past that, there's still a long way to go before you're actually back to a production environment.
John, I think the thing here is that, people don't tend to blame companies for cyber attacks. You're the victim of a crime if you got hit by a cyber attack. Everybody gets that. But I think people do get concerned about the way companies respond to cyber attacks. How do you think the dealership community feels about CDK now, their response to this attack so far? And do you think dealers are going to look for ways out of their CDK contracts and look for other alternatives?
I don't think it's to that point yet. Certainly, as we find out more information, did they make all the right decisions for protecting us? I don't know that, and we'll know more about that as time goes by. But as of right now, I think everybody understands that this could happen to anybody, and it could happen to us. And when you look at what it did in the banking business and MGM and some of the other companies out there, it can happen to anybody. So we're not ready to put a dagger in them yet. I mean, I think we got to give them a chance to do all the right things and recover as fast as they possibly can. So.
And do we know whether, you called this a ransomware attack, and clearly it must be, do we know whether ransom has been paid? Do we know how much it was paid? And do we have any assurance, does CDK have any assurance that even after paying the ransom, that they will be spared a second or maybe several more attacks from other ransom seekers?
So all we know is, what's been disclosed by CDK, which is very little. They did mention ransom in one of their updates. That was only in one update. There's been speculation that, you've got Black Suit involved. Black Suit is a well-known threat group that's been around for about a year now. They were previously part of Conti and Royal, some other groups. So typically when they're paid, they do decrypt. But once again, getting the decryptor is the first stage, and then you've got to get through decrypting and all the data integrity things. Would they be likely to be attacked again? Probably not by Black Suit, but anybody can attack anybody at any time. And I think every company in the automotive industry, and really every company in almost all of our major industries, are being attacked constantly. I mean, we're seeing thousands and thousands of attacks every single day. So nothing says that this is going to be a one-time thing for any vendor out there.
Brad, you've got pretty good visibility into this whole industry of auto dealers. I wonder if you could give us a sense of what this means for the private equity firm that bought CDK just 2 years ago. We saw this statement from Brookfield Business Partners. They paid more than $8 billion for this company. Is this event having a material impact on the value of that investment, or do you think they're going to be able to ride this out and ultimately flip CDK, merge it, have some kind of successful exit for that investment going forward, Brad?
I'm going to have to defer back to John's statement. I think that the dealers understand, that things happen, and it could happen to anyone. It could have happened to any vendor. So I think we just have to wait and see, kind of what the response is, what the long-term effect on the dealership market is, and how things are handled from here.
And John, I'm fascinated by human ingenuity in a crisis. I imagine that there are all kinds of very clever workarounds that people are doing to try to figure this out. I mean, there are probably not that many people on sales floors anymore who remember how to fill out forms in triplicate and use carbon paper and all that stuff. But what are some of the clever things you're seeing people do to figure out their way around this in the absence of this software now?
What we've seen is kind of cool. At first it was kind of, what are we going to do? And pretty quickly, our vendor partners like Assurant and Route One and Ally have come up with backdoors to do e-contracting. So, it doesn't completely disrupt your business. Of course, it slows it down, but we do have a way to contract a customer so that they can buy the vehicle that they choose. I think parts is going to be the most frustrating part of it, because everything that you do today has to be re-entered into the system or recreated, and making sure that that's all accurate. And you're going to have to do that just to be able to do a financial statement, let alone your inventories and all those things that are exposed by this. So yeah, we've had to, PDF forms and do other things, but it's kind of cool that everybody pulls together and finds a solution. And so far we have been less harm than you would think.
Yeah.
So as you can see, folks, every industry from healthcare to financial, casinos, auto dealerships, any type of business, if there is data and information that can be gathered, stored, and transferred, hackers are looking to ways to exploit it. This is a grave indication of why every business should have a preparedness plan on what to do if they are blackmailed or extorted by a cyber attack. Folks, like we say on the show all the time, hackers are always looking for ways to find out vulnerabilities. You must always stay prepared and stay up, folks, when this happens. Remember, hashtag stay cyberwoke. We'll be back after these messages.
Introducing CS Now Staffing, led by yours truly, Laura Nowlin. As the founder and president, I bring over 17 years of expertise in sourcing for talent, building winning teams of professionals, marketing, and workforce development. At CS Now Staffing, we're not just a staffing agency. We're your strategic partner in building a winning team of professionals for your business. My passion for community service extends to connecting entrepreneurs with local resources. Recognized by the Small Business Administration as the 2022 Nevada Family-Owned Business of the Year, we're not just changing the workforce landscape, we're defining it.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm your host, Mac Jackson Jr. With the rise of ransomware and other crimes that are affecting different industries, such as the healthcare industry, it is very, very important that we talk about our nation's health. And with me today, I'd like to introduce Dr. Hakimi from Vegas Direct Care. Dr. Hakimi is a leading expert in her field, known as being compassionate and taking care and dedicated to her patients and well-being. She's a trusted healthcare MD with a wealth of experience and a commitment to providing top-notch medical service. Welcome, Dr. Hakimi. How are you doing?
I'm good, Mac. How are you?
Good to see you again.
Thank
Absolutely.
you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, I definitely wanted you here on our show to talk about the industry. But first we'll talk about the cyber attacks that's hitting the healthcare industry. Recently, there was the healthcare company Ascension that had huge cyber attacks. How is that affecting the healthcare industry, and why do you think that's happening to medical industry?
Well, I think that unfortunately we are also low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Right. And so for those individuals that are out there, they're going to go for the most vulnerable. And healthcare in general is just one of the most vulnerable fields that we have, period. When it comes to us taking care of your health, you are in the most vulnerable state. So now we've got these people that are predators, not only on, the maladies that people have, but also the access to their information, which is unfortunately so readily available too. So we're low-hanging fruit. They're going to come after what's easiest to get to.
Incredible. Yeah, so the hackers attack, they actually use ransomware. So they'll lock up the systems and they'll ask the healthcare industry or clinic to pay the ransom, or they can't see their patients. So now you have these ERs and triage that can't be done. People have to revert to the manual way of taking care of people, like the old-fashioned way. It makes it more difficult, isn't it?
So I'm going to say no, it doesn't, because that's actually what I do. Ironically.
Interesting.
Yeah. So healthcare, unfortunately, is a business now too. And with businesses come metrics, come outcomes, come ROIs, come the bottom line. And that's what I believe the EHRs, the EMRs allow a lot of these individuals that are in the business aspect of healthcare to provide, is because all of that data could be gathered in a more uniform manner. It is also a very profitable industry in terms of electronic medical records and EHRs and things of that avail. And it is not something that has been dictated to be consistent throughout our fields either. So there's a lot of mishmash going on, right? I'm still old school. I do literally paper and pencil, not writing it out, but just a Word document, because nobody can hack into my stuff.
That's right.
Yeah. I understand the concept was supposed to be access for our members, our patients, things of that avail, more readily available. It doesn't really happen in real life, honestly. We have all these fancy portals. People don't know how to use them because they're not user friendly. Most individuals that are in healthcare, unfortunately, are our seniors. And no senior is running around trying to gather their data on a portal, with all due respect, right?
Yeah,
The family members can be helping them and things of that avail.
That's true.
Is there a purpose to them? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But do we absolutely have to have it for taking care of people?
Mm-hmm.
I would beg to differ. Yeah. So ironically enough, in our state, we also have a new mandate that was just sent down by the Nevada Medical Board that I was telling you about earlier.
Yes.
So as of January 1st, 2030
Mm-hmm.
is the date that any healthcare professional has to have electronic medical records, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who is going to be able to afford it? Especially with what I do, the flat monthly membership, $150 is not a lot of money.
Right.
I don't have a lot of people. That's a significant cost to me. How do I gauge which ones are secure? Is
Mhm.
anyone actually giving us that guidance about which ones are the more secure platforms to go on? Why would I set my people up for any kind of cyber attack?
Mm-hmm.
And cyber ransom? Ridiculous. I can't afford that. It's just not going to happen, right? So to have to be dictated that I have to do something without any further guidance
Mm-hmm.
is mind-boggling to me.
Interesting.
So that's something that we have to do.
So who's mandating this, that medical doctors have to have this database set up for electronic medical records?
So it's the Nevada Medical Board that's
Mhm.
saying that anyone that's under their board is mandated to have electronic medical records. So it is our state board
And are
that's
they putting,
dictating that.
and are they putting in any protections for doctors for ransomware?
No, that's what
with
I'm
this
telling you.
mandate?
There's no guidance. All that we
Mm.
were told was that you have to have it. So I don't do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't tell me that I have to start doing what you do in my
Right.
ample time.
Right.
My job is to take care of people.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've got to go find an EMR, find out which ones are quality, find out which ones are affordable, find out which ones are safe.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And there was no guidance. It was literally an email, 2 sentences long, that
Mhm.
this is what's going to happen. So with all due respect, I might have found my date of expiration.
Interesting.
It's just not a game I would like to play.
Interesting. So what can we do about that, citizens of our valley here in Las Vegas
Mm-hmm.
and other medical MD doctors in our area
Mhm.
to basically discuss this, or better yet, stronger words, fight against this?
Yeah. So I don't think that fighting is going to work because we don't obviously fight very well. Physicians are not strong enough in terms of our lobbying and things of that avail, but we just need to have guidance. And if we're going to be told what to do, then if it's not our world, then we need people such as yourselves to guide us to make those decisions. And so that is where the Nevada Medical Board or any other entities that dictate we have to do this need to give us more guidance to do that.
Interesting.
And maybe stop reprimanding us and commending us and maybe giving us stipends to do things like this, especially independent physicians that are just trying to survive out there without having to work for someone and be told what to do, right? The other aspect of it is, well, why doesn't the insurance companies pay for it? They make multi-millions of dollars.
Right.
So they're the ones that are going to access that data as well.
Mhm.
So I feel there is some, collaboration in the background as well, because if we're mandated and dictated to do it, who's benefiting? Really, is it really the patients? I mean, does it make a difference to you right now if I did or did not have an electronic medical record, when in turn, what I do is I have direct access to my people?
Right.
Shouldn't we put more money into bringing physicians that can have that kind of capability of being independent and working for themselves and being available to people versus being on a portal and reaching out for their information?
Good point. Very true. So obviously there's more doctors here, MDs in town, that have your same belief as well. Collaborating with them and that power of those doctors together wouldn't make a change for this? It seems like if you got the public behind you, we could push for a change for this to happen.
Well, I think the first thing is that people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And to put the onus on us to also be those advocates and lobbyists when we have institutions that we pay memberships to do,
Right.
and they still don't do their
And
job.
they still don't do it. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the biggest problem.
Well, we have to use the biggest lobbying group, and that's grassroots people.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
yeah, people have to fight for this. And I know that in my industry, we have, information definitely that can be shared with your industry, letting you know that the damages and dangers that are out there, the threat landscape is huge for the healthcare industry. And now that they're putting this mandate together, that's just going to focus the hackers on now going after these databases that are electronic.
Absolutely. It's being given to them.
Yes, absolutely.
And they're not all made the same, obviously.
No, they're not.
And I honestly, with all due respect, have no idea. I was trained on one of the largest ones. I don't know if we can name names, but
Sure.
Epic was the biggest one. And I worked with the VA. And so they had a fantastic one. I liked the one that was, it's called CPRS. And that's the one that was literally with inpatient, outpatient. The collaboration was amazing. So I really enjoyed working with those because it made my life easier. So, I mean, there is an aspect of that where I think that people that work for the system, with all due respect, they can, do a lot of bypassing, writing everything all over again and kind of repeating some of the basics and then just kind of, coming up with a new plan of action. So maybe that's where the electronic health records can also come on play. But honestly, it's a very excellent money-making system. It makes a lot of money, bottom line. And we live in a capitalist society, and that's what makes this country so beautiful. And I'm sorry to say, at the expense of your lives.
Yeah, unfortunate. That's very true.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we need to do our part on this. So if you'd like to find out more information, contact me on my website or email me at mjackson@mjcc.com with your comments on this. And what we'd like to do is put together information that we could share with Dr. Hakimi and her colleagues, and perhaps we could present it to the medical board with some expert testimony and just some letters and complaints from the local community. That's the way we can fight back. We can't allow this to happen because, like I've said to you on our show here, the industry is definitely vulnerable for an increasing number of attacks like this. Incredible. Dr. Hakimi, I thank you again for being with us on the show.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. I look forward to having you again.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure.
Folks, this is Cybersecurity Awareness TV. We'll be right back after these messages. Hello, folks. Welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. Thank you for joining us today. We had a really good episode today talking about the cyber attacks that are happening in the car industry here in Las Vegas and around our nation. And I had the privilege and the honor to interview Dr. Hakimi from Vegas Direct Care. Thank you again for being with us.
Thank you for having me,
Yes.
Max. How are you?
How does our patients get a hold of you, or my audience and patients and friends? How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I am at WWWDBTV.com, as in DavidPaulCharlie.com. And you can actually text or call me directly. My number is available to everyone. It's 702-829-0478, and it's Vegas Direct Primary Care.
Can you believe that, folks? This is a physician, an MD, just gave you her direct number. Try to find that in your healthcare plan, right? Definitely. That is very, very good. Very, very good. Folks, thank you for joining us here this week, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Cybersecurity Awareness TV. Like we say every week, folks, hashtag stay cyber woke. See you then.